going on, Broncos country? Let's fly. Fly all the way to London, England, Nate, and get your workout in. Did you get your workout in today?
I got my workout in. I was on the plane all day. I went up and down the aisles, high knees, butt kicks, what have you.
And no one at work on the plane got very angry at you, did they?
Not at all. Everyone else is doing it too.
Awesome. Good to hear. Good to hear. I hope the same thing's going on for Hackett's crew out there.
Absolutely. I don't know what Russell Wilson's got all the flack for. He just wants to stay fit. You can't be sitting on the plane for 8 hours without doing some high knees.
Yeah, you got to warm up that Wolverine blood.
Absolutely. We have an exciting show for you all tonight. We have John on the show as our guest. We'll do our typical rundown of last week, talk about the upcoming week. I might complain a little bit about my loss last week and my ailing team. And so let's jump right into it with the rewind. All right, Nick. First, we have our bet from last week. Remind everyone what we were betting about.
Yeah, we were betting that Big Bob Tunyon was going to get 40 yards receiving in the game, and he came so close.
So close. You know, at halftime, I was feeling pretty good about that bet. I believe Aaron Rodgers may have had 38 yards in total, and I think Bob may have had 6 of them. Yep. And that was about true until the last 2 minutes of the game when he got a big catch for 27 yards or so.
It was during the last minute lateral play. He got 30-plus yards during that one, and then threw it back, and he could have, leaned forward for a couple more and gotten to 40, but, he didn't know about that bet. I forgot to text him, so.
Had to be a team player. So that puts me at 5 wins to your 1, and we have a new bet this week. Jalen Hurts is coming back. I'm predicting big things from him. So I have him matched up against Katie's Tua, if she remembers to play him. He's on her bench right now. A lot of fantasy analysts have them being back-to-back this week. How you feeling about Tua?
I think Tua is one of the best quarterbacks in the game and has probably the easiest matchup of the year against the Detroit Lions. I think he'll be able to blow Jalen out of the water here.
Yeah, it's a pretty scary matchup. I think it's a pretty even split. I mean, both defenses are pretty terrible. They're playing against Steelers for Jalen, and Tua has the Lions. Now, I'm counting on the fact that Katie's just not going to even think to play him. So we will see. But let's take a look at the standings now. We can pull them up right here. And we see that now, actually, Kyler, our guest from a couple weeks ago, is sole first place at 6-1, and Katie is still chugging along at 5-2, which is shocking to me. You can see that me and Nick are both in the bottom half of the league, 3-4, 2-5. The tie did officially go through now. For those who didn't see, mid-tier Nick did oust me in a game of Candyland. Nick, what were your takeaways from that game? You were the presiding over that.
Yeah, that was probably the most dramatic kids board game I've ever played. There was so many back and forth, so many trips back to the Mint Castle out there. But yeah, Nick came out with a win. He has 3. He just passed me, and then you have 2. You're tied with Ducky down there.
Absolutely. Yeah, that game is designed, I think, to torture parents when their little kid loses at the last second and throws temper tantrums. It is hard for an adult to take, let alone a little kid. But I will just air my grievances briefly that my team now is in 10th place. We are 2-5, and I have the 3rd most points in the league. If you all remember last year, I had the 2nd most points in the league, and I did not make the playoffs that year. So this seems to be a developing pattern for me. I don't know what's up with that, but I do like that ESPN is still pulling for me. They have me having more points than John, who is above me in the standings. If we're just looking at the points for, it looks like Katie's team is still one of those teams who's projected to fall back a little bit, although she has almost as many points as I do. So her team is figuring things out. Hipster fantasy team and mid-tier Nick also overperforming a little bit. And last week, Ducky did beat me by just 1 point to cause us to tie. So we'll get into that first. The Olive Man can tango. I actually didn't notice this till now. He is rubbing it in because last week the Patriots defense was the last team playing. I needed them to score just 3 points and I would have beaten Ducky. And in fact, they scored 4. And that came down to the final drive. They needed just a couple more yards or field goal, anything. And they decided just to run out the clock, as I was worried about. And it's another heartbreaker for me. But Brees Hall is out for the season, as we'll get into later. But Raheem Mostert stepping into a starting role. I'm still feeling good about my team. You think I can pull this out, Snickers?
Yeah, I mean, you have a pretty decent team so far. I mean, obviously pretty skilled receivers there, and Ducky's team is coming together. Especially Chris Olave is probably easily the best rookie out there right now. But it's gonna be tough uphill sledding for you there. I know I'm sort of the same boat. Haven't been scoring a whole lot of points, but to get into the top six, make the playoffs, I'd say there's probably a 20% chance that you do that.
Yeah, ESPN says 26. So I actually do like Ducky's team at this point. Travis Etienne is now the only main running back on his team. I picked up JaMychal Hasty just in case. But
see, Ducky's got a lot of bench warmers up there: Chuba Hubbard, Josh Reynolds, Jerry Judy.
yeah, we each kind of
You see much action, but
split the expected work on the Carolina Panthers. I got Foreman, he got Chuba Hubbard, so we'll see who wins out that one. We both need the running backs. Now let's look at your matchup. Tell us what happened here.
yeah, honestly, this matchup was a lot closer than it looked like up until probably about Sunday Night Football. I was expected to win by a couple points after the 4 o'clock slot here, but obviously Kenneth Walker, boom, killed it. The rest of my team, did all right. Lamar's been in his slump. Mike Evans and Jonathan Taylor, guys, you're expected to get 20 plus points, only scored in the low teens. So I ended up not having a super great weekend. Kyler kind of had just an average overall week. Obviously, Kyler Murray scoring 42 points. Some of those on defense helped him out there. But I'm still excited about my team, and I'm just glad I'm not playing 2 tight ends.
Yeah, I mean, he has Josh Jacobs sticking up or putting up huge points for him. But you got to be pleased with Kenneth Walker, the way he's turning out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad I didn't trade him away.
And it does feel like worse days are to come for Kyler, given that he's playing Kyle Pitts in his flex. I mean, that is just not going to work out for him.
And he refuses to play Joe Burrow.
I know Joe Burrow has 44 points on the bench. Holy cow. That may be the biggest bench warmer we've seen all year. Now, this game was the toilet bowl of all toilet bowls. The winner had less than 70 points, beat mid-tier Nick, who had 60 points. Congratulations, John. His team just had no one perform besides Ramondre. And I guess David Njoku, tight end, 10 points. That's pretty good. But holy cow, was this a garbage fest.
Yeah, I mean, I keep telling John to take James Conner out of his lineup, and he keeps forgetting to do that. So
I see.
I'll
Yeah,
probably just wait until he's back in the lineup again. Only be another week or two, right?
that's right. Man, yeah, I don't know what is going on with that team.
See Tyler Boyd on Nick Adams' bench, though. That must have stunk. 28 points. He could have gotten a respectable score there.
He could have, but the both of them are a little bit keeping a lazy eye on the bench. Then we have Matt just edging out Kenny. That's another very tight one. But the way that things are scoring right now, over 100 points is actually a pretty big week. And Matt Ryan continues to play for Kenny, although he's going to have to change it up. I believe Matt Ryan's been benched. And he has Kirk Cousins, so things will probably work out for him. But just kind of solid all around. I think things still look up for Kenny. And Matt's team also not looking too bad.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see how Matt does this week. Obviously, Justin Herbert's on bye, and Jamar Chase, I just saw, got ruled basically out for the game. He's doubtful for Monday Night Football against the Browns right now. Those are two of his big guys.
Oh, I hadn't heard that. That's big news. And Damian Harris also probably not going to be very productive. Actually, I don't know about his status this week, but he's been just barely playing this week. Though he does, I don't know, Tyler Algier, maybe we'll be able to do something for him. We'll see. Then we have the Carson versus Shane. This was a pretty easy win for Shane. Continues to put Gino in there. Saquon continues to perform. He's going to have to find another option for Kenyon Drake, though. I think he's outlived his usefulness.
See if he has the balls to play Romeo Dubs anymore throughout the rest of the season. Maybe Aaron Rodgers yelling at his receivers will get Dubs back on the field, but
Is he pulling a Brady these days, yelling it out with receivers?
Yeah, he doesn't like any of them except for Randall Cobb.
Yeah, that situation is turning ugly. Yeah, Carson seemed another one that's in trouble. David Montgomery is trending down. DJ Metcalf is out. Debo is injured. So, I mean, Jared Goff might be able to turn it around, but Russell Wilson's not doing anything. So, I mean, really, what I'm hearing is a lot of the teams right now are hurting in this league. I thought I was in bad shape with Brees Hall, but I think a lot of people are in dire straits. So,
Yeah, but
that comes out in the wash.
this was big upset of the week here. Katie beating Kyle. We shouldn't really call it an upset anymore. Katie's been one of the best teams all year, but Kyle was number one for a while. You know, he's just lost a couple games in a row already. Obviously, looks like Katie did pretty well. Aaron Jones, Patrick Mahomes, Austin Eckler. The latter two are both on bye this week. We'll see how she turns back on that. But, Benjamin actually scored a couple points last Thursday. And see how Kyle does with Jimmy the rest of the year. Jimmy's quietly been top 10 quarterback the last couple of weeks.
I don't think he needs Jimmy. He has Josh Allen on his bench, who is going to be doing just fine. Daryl Henderson will be back. That threw me off for a second because this is listing last week's buys. But Rashad Bateman, I traded to him, could be a player. He has Jameson Williams, who could come back and join the squad, maybe do some big things. So I don't think that Kyle's team is going to be trending down here. I think it's going to come bounce back. I continue to think that Katie is in trouble. Now let's get into some news.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what do we have for us here, Snickers?
Yeah, so the big news that appeared a few hours after our last recording here, Christian McCaffrey getting traded to the San Francisco 49ers, played last Sunday and had a pretty decent showing. Obviously, they lost the game to the Chiefs, but that's a huge trade, big money getting moved around there. Like you mentioned before, Brees Hall, the New York Jets, towards ACL last week after running for 70 or so yards and a touchdown. So that's rough, but they did manage to replace him by trading to Jacksonville for James Robinson. So we'll see how James Robinson is able to get into the game a little bit. I think Michael Carter is probably going to be the clear number one right now. But moving to the Green Bay area, like I said, Aaron Rodgers still hates all of his receivers. Apparently called them all out, says that some guys need to get more receptions, some guys need to get less playing time. But he also came out and said that no one's talked to him about it. No one really has the balls to stand up to him, apparently. But Mike Williams on the Los Angeles Chargers out for a few weeks. Let's hope that Keenan Allen comes back in to kind of replace him. But a couple big trades other than CMC was Robert Quinn from the Bears to the Eagles, shoring up that championship defensive line that the Eagles already have. I think it's going to be pretty tough defense to run against there. Kadarius Toney from the New York Giants got traded to the Chiefs just yesterday or just today.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that one.
The Chiefs are definitely trying to be the fastest team in the league by far. And the good old quarterback controversy in New England. It hasn't happened since about 2000. So actually 2001, week 2 is when Drew Bledsoe went out, and a couple weeks into this season, let's see who plays on Sunday against the Jets.
Yeah, I hope to see Crappy Zappy back on the bench. What an embarrassing outcome last week. But now let's look ahead, and with next week's big matchups. All right, just like always, before we get into the matchups and invite our guest on the show, we have a quick word from today's sponsor. Listen in.
Is your voice not being heard? Do you feel leadership is inadequate? Think it's time for a change? Because we at John Caniford Commissioner do. Matthew Berluti has been resting on his laurels for far too long. He has overseen botched rule changes, a disregard for common decency, and even allowed Nate Soames into the league. How many more years do we have to take this? The answer is none. Vote for me, John Canna, and I'll take this league where it needs to go, to the moon. Paid for by Commissioner Canna, the Canna Coup, and D-Line.
All right, very apropos. We have our guest John on the show in just a moment, running for commissioner. I had not heard this. It seems like not only is matter intact, but I am as well. It'll be very interesting to hear John's thoughts here in just a moment. All right, please welcome John to the show.
What is up? I'm glad. I think it's an honor for you guys to have me on your podcast. I think it's an honor for your guests to hear me speak personally. You've gone through some tough guests in the past, particularly Shane Roy. I don't know how you got through that.
I think what all the people want to hear, John, is your new bid for commissioner that you've just revealed right before the segment. Very timely. And we hear that you're running on the campaign of kicking Nate out of the league, which is me. So a little bit awkward.
I mean, kind of. You kind of bring down the league, though, Nate. Like, we're all at a higher level, and then there's you operating at, I don't know, what's your record right now?
2-5.
Yeah, 2-5.
But we'll see if you can garner the votes. I have the voice on the show. We're giving you the platform today, of course, out of courtesy. But of course, I'm sure Matt will respond in due time before the elections. But let's get into the matchups next week. Let's see here.
Does Matt know there's elections?
I don't think he's aware yet. So that's
Okay.
definitely going to be news that he'll be hearing for the first time this very evening. Now, John, last week, I don't know if you're aware even, but
Hold on, Nate, let's just pause real quick. My record is 3-4.
correct.
See, this is why I think you should be out of the league.
Well, there's an interesting statistic that we went through earlier that maybe would be illuminating to you, which is that I have 150 more points than you do on the year.
Yep. A wise man once told me fantasy football is about defense, Nate, not offense.
I see. So that's why you have the Bengals defense. I guess not a bad defense.
Is the Bengals a bad defense?
Worse in the league.
I mean, according to what stat?
According to all the metrics that the experts go by, kicker points, kick blocks.
You see, me and Belichick have a lot in common. We see the diamonds in the rough, Nate, and that's how I somehow squeaked out a win with the worst defense. We take what other teams throw away and make them into champions.
Yeah, and you definitely been squeaking out of wins with players on injured recently. I believe you won last week with the lowest score ever. It was a 70 points win. Now tell us, who are the diamonds in the rough on your team this week?
Oh, this week? Let's see. I would say Najee Harris is a diamond in the rough. You would think he's just a diamond. He's a stud. You would be wrong. He has not performed like I'd wanted him to, unfortunately. But I think if people are looking to pick up somebody in a different league, I would take a hard look at Chris Boswell. I think he's going to have a stellar week.
I'm wondering if you're expecting big things from David Njoku. He's currently projected at 0 points, and he's your only tight end. What moves are you planning there?
You know, it depends on when I look at the fantasy football app next. If it's on game day and it's already past 1 o'clock and Cleveland happens to start at the 1 o'clock time slot, he's staying in. However, if I check on Saturday, he'll be replaced with somebody on the waiver wire.
You have some time. He starts at a Monday night at 8.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, he'll be replaced. I don't know if he's good.
He's been all right. Snickers, do you have any questions for our guest about his matchup this week?
Yeah, I mean, I like your matchup. You survived James Conner's injury. It looks like he's coming back this week, and he's been out for the last couple. Mike Pittman, I know you've played before without anyone. Amon-Ra St. Brown, you only got 1 catch last week. I think he's back from his concussion. But, yeah, I think the tight end spot's really the only one really worrying you there, except you're leaning a little heavy on the Steelers against a pretty tough Eagles defensive line this week.
Mon-Ra's been nothing but a letdown for me. Maybe he had 1 good week. Disappointing.
Absolutely, yeah. And what's he doing going out there with that concussion? Just stayed in the game. Now, what is your matchup on the week, Snickers?
Going up against the Olive Man, Ducky here. It's be exciting to watch. Obviously, Thursday night football's already started. Lamar's, doing his Lamar things, getting 3 points so far, halfway through the second quarter. But I think we have a pretty good matchup this week. I think Irv Smith's going to come big against the Arizona Cardinals, who really don't like defending tight ends. I think Jonathan Taylor, Kenneth Walker are going to have big weeks here. And Brett Maher is the second best kicker in football. So I think we have a pretty good chance against Stuckey here, even though he has a pretty, solidly average team over there.
He's actually projected at 112 points. It's huge for him. His team's really coming around. Alvin Kamara coming back into form, of course. Travis Etienne, like I talked about before. That's going to be a close one, and you both need it bad. My matchup of the week is Shane versus Kyle, because they're actually pretty close in the standings at this point. Kyle did have a down week last week, but I think he's going to come back. He is starting Rashad Bateman, it looks like. He has Josh Allen back. And if Shane wants to stay in the playoffs here, he's got to win this one. Now, who do you call here, John? Who's winning this week? Who are the Diamonds?
Yeah, this is an easy call for Kyle.
Why is that?
Oh, looking for a reason. Well, first of all, Kyle has Tyreek Hill, who is an absolute stud. Also, Shane, and I just cannot vote for Shane to win anything. So, Kyle.
I feel you there, John. As much as it feels like we're enemies, I think we are both aligned that down with Shane. And then any other matchups you want to highlight here, Snickers?
Yeah, I mean, let's see, Kenny against Carson. We got some, some underperforming teams. Obviously, Kenny had the big hot start, and then he's coming back down to earth. But I think he should be able to get a get-right win against Carson here this week.
Yeah, we'll see. Carson currently holds the last place by himself at the moment, but he does have some up weeks, so it could be an interesting matchup, absolutely. And actually, we can see that Leonard Fournette is pulling together a decent game so far in that matchup. They're about halfway through right now. He has 8 points. So
it's hard to say decent matchup. He has a touchdown and still only 8 points so far. But
I didn't realize he had the touchdown.
Yeah.
Well, then maybe not a lot to expect from him unless he gets another. But now let's talk a little bit about the waivers. I know that you've been very active in the waivers yourself, John.
I have definitely tried to get one person from the waivers. I have a question for you, Nate. Who would you pick for a tight end if you were in my position?
That's interesting. Let's take a look. Let me a little look-see at the tight end options. How about that?
Yeah. Now I'll tell you my thought process if we look at it right away. So right off the bat, I would just not choose the first place person. If you go to projected score, it just doesn't make sense. I don't know why. Just if he was that good, why would somebody else pick him?
I agree. You have to be very skeptical of that. I'm not sure what happened there. It didn't let me show the tight ends at all. But I think I'd be going for maybe the backup for the Ravens would be a good one for you to look for.
Well, the Ravens are actually playing currently, so that might not be a great matchup. But you got Noah Fant, you got Evan Ingram. It's like on the waivers here. Evan Ingram's obviously been a catching machine. He's not really good at touchdowns, but
let's take a look. Now it's working for me. I mean, this player here, Albert
Ogwebenam,
he looks like he might be able to perform pretty well. Free agent.
What was that last name?
Ogwebenam.
He's at the very top of the list here. If we want to go down the list a little further, John, we have Bryson Hopkins. You might want to choose him.
Noah Gray. He's calling my name.
Which one?
Noah
Gray and the Kansas City Chiefs. He's actually on bye this week. But feels free to break him up.
This sounds like the guy kind of who's right up your alley. Trey McKitty.
Yeah, okay. This is my guy. Is he on bye this week though?
Yes. He is also on bye. There's
oh my god,
so many Chiefs and Chargers tight ends on this list right now.
I still might draft Trey McKitty just to make sure nobody else can get him.
That's smart. I mean, he's going to be obviously he was dropped because he was on bye, so I'd pick him up. He got 0.1 points so far this year.
Good.
Okay, but going back to the waivers, the It was actually really light waivers week. Snickers, you picked up the Titans for $7. Why were you so into the Titans?
Yeah, they have a pretty good matchup this week. I really am bleeding out defenses right now. Just picking up a new one each week, it sounds like. I just want to make sure I get the best one out there.
So now, why would you pay $7 for a defense?
I've been doing it all year, and my defense has been doing pretty well, except then they have a poor matchup the next week. So the Titans have one of the easier schedules throughout the rest of the season, so hopefully I can keep them for a little while here.
No, it's interesting. I thought the 49ers were maybe the best remaining D, although I do think they still have their bye week, so I may end up dropping them again.
Yeah, they have a tough week up this week against the Los Angeles Rams coming to town. So,
well, I was looking and they got 24 points against them last time they played them, which was just a few weeks ago. So the Rams are not the fearsome offense that we're used to. But other than that, it was just some small pickups. Shane's going in on Daniel Jones over Matt Stafford. I understand that pick for sure. Daniel Jones has some legs this year. Darnell Mooney re-signed. Rex Burkhead getting some light of day again, but not a whole lot to talk about there. So why don't we close out our interview with you, John, by who are you watching this week in the NFL?
Who am I watching this week in the NFL? Mm-hmm. I mean, it depends. If it's a boring game, I'll probably be watching God of War, the video game, not the NFL. But if it's a good Patriots game, the Patriots.
John, I have a question for you. The Broncos and the Jaguars are playing this week in London again. It's the third out of 4 international games this season, 9:30 a.m. Sunday. Are you watching that?
No. There should be football on from 1 in the afternoon to 8 at night on Sunday. That is it. Nothing international. None of this Thursday bullshit. Absolutely not. I protest. I won't watch it.
So you don't like any of the primetime games, which are all after 8 o'clock?
No, it's too late. I need to be in bed at 8:30 on Sunday.
I can agree with that. That I do sometimes stay up for those games, but that's too late. They should end about an hour earlier than they do at least. Why do we need an hour between the end of the afternoon games and the start of prime time? Doesn't make any sense.
Commercials. They want to make their money.
I mean, the equalizer has to have a time to play.
That's true. It's definitely true.
But no, I'm picking this week. I'll be watching the Bears and the Cowboys. I believe it's on Sunday at 1. And I'm all about the Bears now. They destroyed the Patriots last week. Justin Fields is rising, and Barris, crappy Zappy, put him back on the bench where he belongs.
Oh, no, Nate. Who came out though last week when whatever his face is, Jones threw an interception, Zappy, because he's the team's future,
and went on to throw 2 more interceptions.
But at least he got touchdowns.
What do you think, Snickers? Is it crappy Zappy or is it Mac?
It's true. I mean, Mac has the bigger scope of work in his career right now. It looks like Bill might be leaning toward him starting against the Jets this week, but he's obviously on a pretty short leash. He got pulled after just only a quarter and a half.
The only thing the guy's done wrong is that he got injured and is still in.
I think the start of next season, Zappy might be a very good Carolina Panther. So.
Well, as much as I hate Zappy, I don't wish that on him. No one deserves to be on the Panthers. What about you, Snickers? Who are you watching this week?
I'm watching a pretty historical matchup this week between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Philadelphia Eagles. They used to be one time in the 30s. They combined because of money issues. They used to be called the Steagles. And I think it's just pretty apropos that they're coming together this end of October on Halloween to put on their own mask and become their own costume here, even though I think the Eagles are going to kick the crap out of the Steelers.
Yeah, there's been a lot of really strange upsets this year, though, so that feels like one of the ones that maybe could go that way, just because it's so lopsided. But that's all we've got for you, John. We'll let you get back to God of War, which is, I assume, what you've been busy doing this evening.
Yes. I'm also interested in how you're doing, Nate. You have to tell me if you're inside to play it.
I did start God of War a couple days ago as well. So for those of you who have not tried it, ends up being very fun, even though it's like 5 years old. Everyone in this league is just discovering for the first time, it sounds like. But thank you very much, John. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
All right. It was great for John to join us, although he stirred up a lot of controversy with that ad. It almost felt like he didn't even know he was running, though, which kind of shocked me. But
You know, John, he's never going to do anything full steam ahead. He's only going to do it if he kind of feels like it. So we'll see if Shane can give him enough votes here.
I agree. I think he may be just trying to have one foot in, one foot out, so he can roll with whatever happens. But before we all let you go tonight, we have our lovely Caitlin to tell us about the hot takes. Thank you for joining us, Caitlin. We know you've been busy researching, doing a lot of work on handball, I'm hearing in the background. But we have a question for you. Nick, what are we asking Caitlin tonight?
Yeah, Caitlin, there's been a lot of improvements as far as fast air travel is concerned that we're able to get from New York to London in just a couple of hours. There are going to be possibly 4 new NFL teams in Europe, in London, Dusseldorf, Munich, a couple towns over there. What are your thoughts on that? And do you think we should do that? What do you think the team name should be if you think we should? Just want to hear something from you.
Well, it sounds like a tough idea because my understanding is that soccer is played on Sundays in the fall in England. And I suspect that's tough to compete with, especially with all the time changes and stuff.
You're forgetting, though, that soccer is boring.
I'm also as football.
They have so much in common that people will love it.
They won't know the difference. And I guess what I'm confused about is, so like if the Jaguars were to move to Europe, would they have to move all the players with them, or like a lot of the players with them, or would they have to find new talent willing to go to London?
Yeah, I mean, there would definitely be a supplemental draft to fill up the 4 teams over there. There would be a couple players from every current NFL team that would have to join the new one, just like they did with the Golden Knights and the Seattle Kraken and the NHL. But there are a lot of NFL fans in Europe. It's growing pound over pound over there.
Yeah, but enough to like not watch soccer.
I think there are a lot of people who are tired of the market saturation of soccer, and there's no other sport competing with it right now, and they always sell out on Sundays in London.
They sell out, you said?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a missed opportunity to promote field handball, but I don't know. I think it would be tough because you already have like so much time change between here and California, and then you have to deal with another time change for Europe. Like, are people going to be watching football like at 8 a.m.?
Opposite. It'll be like at 2 a.m.
2 a.m.
No, you're right. I guess it would be really early. Sorry. The game this week is at 6 a.m. in West Coast.
Right. If the German teams are watching a 1 o'clock Eastern time game, that would be pretty early in the morning. But Australians are doing it, so.
That's right.
I don't know. I think they'd have to. I don't know. I think they need their own league if they're going to do this.
I think what will be interesting is that Europeans aren't used to naming their team cool things. You know, they always just have like, I don't know, they're just like
something United or whatever.
Some Manchester United or whatever. And all of a sudden they have to use like, I don't know what, the London Shakespeares.
I think they were called the London Monarchs, some like tester team or something.
What about the London Bridges?
The London Bridges.
I think that team would crumble. Kevin Boone would definitely get traded to the London Bridges.
No, it's not too hot. I know Shane is hoping for hotter takes.
No, but thank you for joining us, Caitlin, and we'll have you back next week. All right. Thank you all for joining us this week. All good luck in your games besides Katie. I'm going to rock your socks, and see you all next week.